Joining us now is Roger Cheng, who's the executive editor of CNET News. Roger, great to have you here with us today. What was your initial reaction to the announcement, the delay?
Yeah, ultimately, I think it was a good thing. I mean, this is definitely an embarrassment for Samsung. This was a high-profile launch. Samsung was crowing about being one of the first major foldable phone out there, and to push back this launch is a setback. But it could have been a lot worse, right? The fact that it was reviewers that ultimately caught this issue, didn't get into the hands of consumers yet, is really Samsung should count itself fairly lucky that this didn't blow up in a much bigger way.
Yeah, and we've compared this, and we talked to Mark Spoonauer this morning, to the 2016 battery debacle. I mean, in my mind, it seems pretty clear that Samsung wanting to be the next big thing always and first is another reason why they rushed this product and why it's not ready.
Yeah, and so, yeah, Samsung has definitely has been desperate for the reputation to be an innovator. But you have to give them credit. They did rush out this. Yes, they rushed out this product, but they were trying to break new ground with this phone. Things obviously didn't work out so well, and hopefully they can tweak things so it can work. But again, they are putting themselves out there in this new category of devices.
Okay, so you're kind of giving them a free pass, saying, look, because they are first, we should sort of give them a little bit more leeway here.
Not necessarily a free pass. I mean, like I said, this didn't get to the consumer's hands yet, so they have a chance to fix this. Now, if they don't, if there are continue to be problems, that's a much more serious concern or serious issue for Samsung. But thankfully for the reviewers, they caught this in time.
And so, if you are one of the competitors that is sitting back and watching this, what are you deducting from what they're seeing play out with the early users who've been able to play around with the foldable phones, the interactions, some of the screens, and how do you kind of shift your strategy if you are one of those players?
Yeah, look, if I'm one of these competitors, I'm going back in and I'm double checking to make sure all the quality control tests that I'm conducting are working exactly as I have them specified to. The good thing is because Samsung is among the first at their time,
Roger?
All right, Roger, I think we lost his audio there, but we'll continue to follow the story. And you brought this point, and Roger brought up this point. I mean, it hasn't gone into the hands of the consumers yet, but it was really close. I mean, it was going to be, Friday, where everybody, who had pre-ordered one for $2,000 would have gotten it. My big question, and if we get Roger back or anything like that, is, look, Samsung is one of the biggest display makers in the world. How much of this is really going to be the same potential problem for any company trying to build a foldable phone like this? Roger, I think you're back with us. So let's talk about just like the mechanics of it, right? I mean, everything's going to fold. Samsung, one of the largest display makers in the world. If Samsung has this problem, maybe, should we expect this potentially to be a problem for future foldable phone launches?
I think that is the primary concern for any consumer looking to buy one of these things, beyond the fact that they're super expensive, is are they durable enough to handle my normal wear and tear? And Samsung has definitely shown that that's a big question. Keep in mind, though, with the Galaxy Fold, that phone folds inwards, whereas the Huawei Mate X and the other foldable phones I've seen so far fold outwards. So the crease is inwards, and from what I understand, the wear and tear on that inward crease is much more significant than the outward folding phone. That's why the Huawei Mate X went with the design that it did. It folded out. Samsung kind of poo-pooed the idea that you'd have both of these displays exposed, but there's a lot less wear and tear on that kind of fold than the Samsung one.
But you know what? I think for these companies, they're also going to have to figure out, given the production that it takes, that is significantly harder for these foldable phones than the traditional phones that we have, become accustomed to. If they get into a pattern of needing to replace phones and essentially just giving somebody a new phone once their old one breaks, how does that impact their margins going forward as well? Is that something that they can handle?
Yeah, I think early on, that's going to be a real question mark, right? In terms of the quality control and whether or not they're going to replace these phones, how aggressive they're going to be in giving you a replacement phone when that thing breaks. It's going to be one of those things where it'll be a couple of years where they're going to have to suffer losses or minimal profits to kind of get this market established. There is a lot of skepticism, and obviously the Samsung stuff doesn't help. But these companies firmly want to build this up as the next big thing in the smartphone business, and if they want to do that, they're going to have some tolerance for quality control and quality replacement or product replacement for defective devices.
All right, Roger, thanks so much. We'll continue to watch this. We've had Jessica on literally last Monday playing with it. I don't think she's had problems, right? Jessica's is fine?
Our unit continues to be working fine. So, I mean, look, it's the fact that just that number of reviewers had problems on such a small base of seated units, that's a real red flag.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't delete our selfies off of that device. We know you guys. We know you like them.
Definitely not. No, we're framing that on the wall.